to Scribble Time, everyone. I'm your host, Nolan, and I'll be drawing Fan Friday today. So we got a few sketches that we'll be going over. For now, they're all covered by Hector, and Hector's been a contributor for the last few Fan Fridays. So thanks to him for submitting these, and we'll get started on these right about now. So he introduced a few sketches that were provided last week, but he actually had a few of them set up. So we didn't do it last week because we didn't have enough drawings, but I think he came through at the 11th hour to provide these. So with that, we'll go and draw first a Harlequin panda with the hyenas. So I'm gonna pull up a couple references at least for hyenas, because I actually don't think I've ever done many of them. So yeah, I'm a little bit I'm on day 3 of my new sleep schedule, and or is it day 3, day 4? I guess it's day 4. I actually stayed up, I think I was maybe yesterday. It's like I actually woke up late, and so late being 7 a.m. But today I got up at solid 4:36, because when my alarm went off, I couldn't believe how early it was. So I normally set 3 alarms, one, and I set them at like 2-minute intervals. Unfortunately, my method of waking up had, back in the day when I was in college, I had like 3 alarm clocks ready to go, and so I was always up and at them right away. But my wife doesn't really she doesn't really appreciate that method, as you can imagine. So I've had to adjust, and I basically purchased like a little, it's not Fitbit, but it's like a third-party brand. So it has a vibrating alarm clock on, so that sort of wakes me up. It's kind of iffy depending on how tired I am. If I am really super duper tired and like I didn't get any sleep the previous night, a lot of times I'll actually I can't sleep through it. But my sleep is a bit erratic sort of. But it's also just getting that first wind in the morning. So I used to make like a big pot of coffee and just go right at it. But I find that even though I make the pot of coffee, I'm still pretty tired. So I just try to make do with what I have. So yeah. So in other news today, or in general, what do I have? What is there to talk about? There's a few things to talk about. I think with all this going on, there's not a lot happening in terms of like in terms of like the main venues of entertainment, right? Sporting events are being held, so you can't talk about sports. You could talk about shows done about the sports, and you can talk about highlights. And for example, I think when all this started happening, it was I was getting a lot of YouTube recommendations for replays of classic games. It's like, watch Game 5 of the 2006 Western Conference Finals, and which is kind of cool, because I didn't end up watching it because I'm kind of strapped for time. But I remember seeing those, and then like after a couple weeks, it's like, oh, you want to watch Game 5 of the Eastern Conference round 1 playoffs between the Hawks and the Bucks or something like that, and it's just like, okay, I think, well, it wasn't that one exactly, but it was like there's a lot of there's a lot of like playoff games involving like the Warriors and the Rockets, and I'm like, I'm kind of done with both of those teams. To be honest, I'm a Blazers fan, so I don't really care about them. It was exciting for a little bit when they started revolutionizing basketball, but now it's not so much. Okay, so I'm gonna do this is sort of a friendly show, so I'm gonna kind of stick with the family friendly outfit here. Which is funny because, like, well, I won't get into that topic. But anyways, I think that it was... I think the latest thing that I heard recently was the Snyder Cut is going to be released, but for the Justice League. I'd be curious to know what they plan on putting on it. I'm pretty sure there's still a lot of like structural issues that are probably not going to be able to be resolved even with a new cut. I guess it depends on like what scenes are being cut, and because like for example, I'm not necessarily a big fan of what they did with the Flash, and I thought I don't know. I think Ezra Miller's not really my cup of tea. So, and I didn't watch much of the Flash anyways in general. But my wife was watching the Flash TV show, and what was interesting is like that Barry Allen felt a little bit more accurate than kind of the awkward dweeb, you know. And there's also the precedent of the TV show as well that I think kind of leaves you with a different impression. And to be fair, I never read the comic books either growing up, so I don't have a good reference point for Barry Allen is what I'm saying. But what I will say is like I'm not too sold on the depiction. I can admire the boldness, but I don't think it worked for me. I think it came off a bit irritating. Kind of this cutesy pie humor, where it's like, oh well, we'll try to go for the cheap laugh versus, try to set up something. I suppose it's like, I don't know. That's kind of a little bit of annoyance that I have with modern comedies. It's like everybody's just trying to say something really funny to get the laugh versus actually like setting up the joke and doing the payoff, because it's not really any setup at all. It's just you're trying to say the funniest thing. It's like that Japanese game where there used to be this game show where these guys would go into a library and they would try to do all these funny little pranks and stuff, and the goal is not to laugh. Otherwise, if they laugh, they're supposed to get punished. No, they were playing with cards. I remember they were playing with cards, and whatever the cards, they would flip over the cards, and whoever had like a skull on it, then they had then that guy would go get punished, but it'd be something hilarious, and so they would all like, that person will endure the punishment, which would be something like, I don't know, getting their nose hairs plucked right then and there, but they're in the library setting, so they have to be quiet. It's weird. Hey Nate, good seeing you again. Long time. Hope things are going well. You can check out Nate's YouTube channel as well. I'd be curious to hear your take on. I listened to a few like fandom podcasts, and I think the latest heat that I've been hearing is around Doctor Who, and I did a Doctor Who commission for Nate, so I'm kind of curious to see what his take on all the sort of drama and heat around it. I don't really have an opinion about it, so to speak. I'm more interested in more like the what's been happening globally with these type of properties in general. So it's interesting. It's interesting. I don't have a dog in the fight, but it is. I have to say that sometimes a fight is can be a little bit interesting to watch at times. But you should, yeah. Anyways, it's funny. It's like in school when like two kids get into a fight and you're like, they shouldn't get into a fight, but there's an awful lot of people crowding around watching this. So I don't know. I think my take with terms of properties is like I don't know. I think it's kind of an interesting question about wanting to do work on, say, like a Star Wars story. It's like, would I want to work on if like if Lucasfilm gave me the reins for it, like would I even want it? And I don't know. I think that's a tough question. I think monetarily it would be like, I mean, certainly for the notoriety and stuff, it would be I'm sure there's a benefit whether whether you make a good film or not. It's like you're kind of given that kind of given a really big opportunity to do something that's gonna be seen and known by a lot of people. But I think creatively it's gonna be a challenge, and I think that's probably why what's happened with certain creators who were dropped and fired from certain projects. And so I think for myself, I have to just consider that if what I'm making is going to be any kind of benefit. And I understand, there's also the side of paying the bills and such, and there's that responsibility. But I don't know. I mean, I'm thinking about it. It's something that's sticking on my mind. Yeah. What I'm referring to, for those of you who don't know, is that I guess in the Doctor Who universe, they've retconned a lot of stuff with the old history, and I think it, in some ways, it kind of feels a little bit petty. Like, why try to rewrite history like that? And I think that the answer to that is more on a philosophical and political level than what I usually talk about on this show, because this is more, I guess, for people talking about pandas and stuff. But what do you guys think? What do you guys think about I'm kind of curious, like, what do you think is some of the best remakes out there, or relaunches, I suppose, is a better term. All right, so Hector, this is your Harley Quinn. So I haven't gotten the time-lapse videos all set up quite yet. So so just please be patient with that. The coloring sheets are up from yesterday and the day before, or this last week. So maybe I should just schedule batch work on the coloring sheets all at once, because it does take a little bit of time daily to go through all of them. Okay, so there's the I don't think I can answer my own question about what do I think is the best remake of something, because I think there's been a lot of not so great ones in recent memory that I'm trying to like. I don't know. Okay, so alright, so I'm just gonna put Harley Quinn off to the side here. Oops. We got some other work to do. I'm gonna put her right smack dab in the middle. And then we got two ferocious hyenas. Maybe I'll do something a little bit more kind of making them look like, they kind of look like mice, like big mice, big hairy mice. Let's see if I can fix this up. Let's see here. They also spotted too, maybe a little bit of, I mean, they are mangy looking dogs in general. Probably not that. I know I'm making them look a little bit too I mean, this is what a hyena looks like, right? Like so. Bear with me, I am a little bit sleep deprived. But that's not a good excuse. Because we're all sleep deprived, right? So this is how I use reference. I would say they use flat ear. They also have flat ears too, so I should probably know better than this. Okay, so let's just change, you know, make them feel more dog-like, give them more of a pointy snout. Okay, so let's just change a few things here. Gonna have the leash come down like so. And I don't know why I brought up the Snyder Cut. Maybe it's because like that's the only entertainment news that's kind of come out recently that's been of interest. I think for me is like I've been writing the comic, and just drawing the comic has been pretty difficult, or not difficult. I mean, it's just been a new learning experience, and so trying to find the right process for it has been a great exercise to go through. I'm actually wondering if I should tackle it traditionally, because part of it is of trying to draw it is like also, you know, how am I how am I feeling as I'm drawing it? Like, am I having fun doing it, or is it like, if I have to redraw these couple pages, like, am I looking forward to that, or do I just dread it? So one of the things I want to do is and also the fact that like if you're staring at a screen too long, you can develop some fatigue in your eyes. I haven't had that problem yet, to be honest, because I don't know, for some reason I can look at a screen for a long time, but actually because I switched to a standing desk, I actually have more issues with just how my legs feel at the end of the day if I'm drawing a lot. Because I was like, oh, a standing desk will help me to, you know, it's a little better for my posture. I can move around as I'm drawing. It'll help me stay awake. But there's some days where I'm just actually really tired. I'm just like, I need to sit down. But I try to tell myself like, you know, I need to tell myself, hey, you just go take a nap or something. Which I could kind of need it right now, but have a sip of Coke there. I'm on my second caffeinated drink for today. Okay, I'll just leave it at that. So that's our Harley Quinn with our two hyenas. Oh, come on, Puddin'. Do you want a dog? You want a bone? Okay. Nate says, Chris Pine's Star Trek films were pretty good. I think Star Trek Discovery was a good way for Star Trek to return to the small screen. I haven't seen Star Trek Discovery. I kind of stopped watching Star Trek. Well, I watched the films. But I didn't really resume watching the TV series. I think I watched a few episodes of The Next Generation, and then in college, my roommate was a really big Voyager fan, so I actually got a lot of I caught a lot of episodes through him. Can't really remember what happened to them though. But I'm kind of interested to see what his take would be about it. I mean, I haven't talked to him for a long time, but I'm really curious what he thinks about the new Picard, because I hear a mixed bag about that show as well. Not to throw shade at it, in case people like it, but I do think there are some interesting storytelling trends that are happening with things like Doctor Who and Star Trek. So, and I'm not educated enough to provide an opinion on the show because I don't haven't watched it, but I have caught a couple clips where like people are like dropping F-bombs and cussing, and there's violence, all these like dark violence that's happening in Star Trek. I'm like, is this some kind of nihilistic Star Trek where people are producing these days? It's like, it didn't know Star Trek was so action packed. I thought it was just them just sitting around a table talking about moral quandaries. Anyways, so this is a Guardian. This is a Orc Child with a Guardian by Hector. So we're gonna be drawing this. I'm trying to figure out what's a good way to. I decided to make the two middle ones a little bit bigger, just to at least provide some. But I think I might have to shrink them down, so I can just go like this, go like that. Okay. Right now my marks aren't really falling at the moment for some reason. They just feel a bit too messy. Maybe it's the caffeine starting to kick in. Maybe I just need to lower this face. I'm gonna get these little orc teeth. I do think it's interesting though from I think that it's an interesting thing with regards to like the technology we have to make a show. Like you probably could make like like the original Star Trek at home, given all the editing software and the camera equipment that's at your disposal. I mean, obviously we kind of have like a standard of what we want to make, or what we're used to seeing these days, because of how cheap and quick we can make special effects and such. And maybe we can't make the thing because we're so used, because of our expectations of what that thing should look like, of what a sci-fi show should look like. So we're always expecting a type of level of 3D rendering. But if you're just making it yourself, I think it's just fine, right? It's like, go ahead and knock it out of the park. But I kind of long for something to feel a little bit simpler, Simpler in terms of storytelling, where it's just like, it's not just about we gotta save the world again. You know, like every episode's like an extinction level event. I mean, I don't know what happens in Star Trek, but or with Picard, but I do know that it's like one of those. It's one of those narratives where it's like, oh, you know, this person. Well, they at least have that in the trailer where it's like this person's the chosen one, and we gotta, you know, there's a dark secret that will flip everything on its head. It would make you question what you believe. I mean, that was kind of like the point of the Matrix, right? And we gotta disrupt the system. The system is keeping us down. Gotta take out the man. By the way, I am not against those type of storylines. Because I think they can be done pretty well. I mean, for example, I think one storyline I think that comes to mind is How to Train Your Dragon. You know, I think that was, and it wasn't necessarily about that. Oh, we had to, you know, you had to stop the man, or you know, you had to, you know, change everything. But it's like, well, it was done in a way that felt very didn't feel very manipulative. Like it was like you're discovering the world of the dragons with Hiccup. And I think that was just the way that they developed the story there it was actually a pretty simple story. You know, it's kind of like Romeo and Juliet, but without the romantic love. It's more like just the friendship that they have. And you know, they had some pretty neat twists, and that you weren't really expecting. I think, like for me, I never expected, you know, the Abomination of Desolation, I guess is what you call it. No spoilers though, but I think the story itself, I think it was satisfying from an emotional and intellectual level. And you know, it was also a story that felt like it had some costs to it as well. Not serious enough I mean, the costs weren't, they didn't go super serious with the costs though. But at least in the second movie they did. I think they were brave enough to do so. It was like, it's okay to kill off characters. You don't have to hold on to each one. There is literally a rabbit outside my yard, staring at me. Hello, Mr. Rabbit. Or Mrs. Rabbit. Wherever you may be. That's a pretty cool thing, just being able to, you know, live in the Pacific Northwest, where you have fairly temperate climate, or really temperate climate. You don't really have it, you know, you don't have a bunch of mosquitoes and bugs trying to eat you alive every day like everywhere else. The only thing is, we have like a potentially big earthquake coming our way that apparently we're not prepared for. And it could hit any minute. So nothing to worry about here. Nothing to worry about, nothing to see. Don't worry. Just keep in touch with your friends on Zoom. Okay, so we got our orc type of guardian character here. There's a lot of detail with this belt. And then we have a little boy here. It's kind of a mopey little kid, huh? It's like, stand up straight, boy. This kid is disgruntled. This kid hates everything in life. He's unsatisfied. He's always listening to his rock and roll music. Kid, cheer up. It's not the end of the world. The brooding type. It's got some kind of necklace too. Maybe those are his headphones. So it's attached to his device. Can't get his head out of the away from his electronic and video games. Kids these days. Kind of got a shirt. This kid is listening to the latest in underground futuristic I don't know, futuristic ragtime music. Ragtime's making a comeback. Actually, one soundtrack I like listening to a lot is the Metropolis soundtrack. It's an anime that was done back in 2000, I think 2000, and I think the animation director was a guy who worked on director of Akira, or maybe it was done by him. But it's like, you know, it's done in the, you know, it's set in the future. You know, it's kind of combines the storylines from the other versions of Metropolis, the Fritz Lang and the Tezuka's version, the manga version, and so it combines kind of those two storylines, and I think it's pretty interesting. I mean, it's not the perfect film, but I think it was memorable enough for me, and I remember just how the juxtaposition of this futuristic city kind of done in an Art Deco style with you know, they had like this Dixieland type of music with it, and it's like, oh, it just, I don't know, it kind of worked for me. It actually has some Ray Charles in it as well, and I was like, man, this is actually like, it felt like it was an interesting experience that I would never have seen before. This is coming from Japan too, which is interesting. Okay, so that's okay, so we got our Orc Child, and then finally we got our Jedi Sona. And we're gonna do a quick one here, unless someone has submitted some more art, but I don't think anyone has, so I'm gonna probably just call it quits after this one. So this will be a shorter stream. So this is you, Hector. This is your Jedi Sona. This is you as a panda. Well, I will do my best, sir. So if anybody's watching this in the future, I do these fan drawings on Friday where you can submit a drawing, and I'll do your drawings, your original drawings as pandas. So you know, just tag me with punchingpandas.com or punchingpandas or Scribble Time. You can use all that. Sorry, this Widow's Peak is kind of distracting. Not Widow's Peak. I know it's not Widow's Peak. That's the only words I can grapple right now. Okay. Well, thank you, Hector, for the drawings. You inspired me to make more of my original art. Because I got a few projects on the table. I just need to like get them to a polished state. And like everything right now is just in experiment mode. I need to just get it out of the development phase and into everybody's hands. So. You know, speaking of Star Wars, I have a couple things like that I think could probably have been interesting to see, and maybe might have at least improved the audience experience in the fandom a little bit. I think for one thing, I was lukewarm about, no pun intended, I was lukewarm about Rey's character, and I think part of the reason why I felt that way is probably because it felt like she didn't feel like a woman to me. She just felt like another man, and I think what could at least helped in some part, and at least provide something interesting, is I think it'd been interesting to see her, and maybe this is controversial, maybe not, but I think it would have been cool to see her like in an outfit, not fighting of course, but like in another outfit, like in terms of like, oh, she was like wearing like a dress or something like that, like as like you know, like in a dinner setting or something like that, not always in the desert or out, you know, like fighting something or training. It's like, you know, just seeing her, like what would she look like if she, like, you know, now that she's out of Jakku, like what would she look like if you could place her in a situation where you know, like she's with the rebels now, so there's a little bit more fun to go around. Like, I mean, obviously she got a new outfit out of it, but you know, just being able to, you know, because I think part of one thing cool about seeing like or what's interesting, I think, to the female audience would be to see like you know, some other form of fashion that's more traditionally feminine, you know, like a dress or something. Because I think, you know, you look at all the outfits, how many times, like when you go to a Comic-Con, you go and see people cosplay as Padme, you know, with her imperial, or not imperial, but her royal robes and so forth. Like, it's just really, I don't know, I think people like that, you know, and it can be something that's like, oh, it's classy to see, because you see like Leia wearing several outfits. I mean, aside from the Jabba the Hutt outfit, you see that, you know, you see that she, you know, you see her in her princess outfit, then you see her like during the award ceremony. You see her in the what is it? Yeah, even on Endor, you know, she's wearing a different type of outfit. It just felt like there's, I don't know, it would have been a fun thing to see her express through those different other outfits. Anyways, I don't know. Tell me what you guys think. I think it would have been kind of cool. And then, and now this clip will be used against me in the future by people who don't agree with me. It's like, you think Rey should wear a dress at all times? It's like, nope, I did not say that. I think it could have been one of her outfits that people would have liked. Boy, the rabbits are really out today. Okay, so there's that. I'm going to rotate this slightly so it's more like not too parallel. Maybe make this one slightly shorter just to match it up. Okay, that's about it. So thank you guys for hanging out with Scribble Time. And hope you guys really enjoyed this today's session. And if you guys would like to see more of it, please like the video and subscribe if you haven't already. And I also have a shop on my website at punchypandas.com/shop, and these drawings will all be available as coloring sheets to be downloaded for free at punchypandas.com/scribbletime. So anyways, thank you again for tuning in, and I hope to see you guys on Monday for the next Scribble Time. All right, see you later.